So ask me a question, really, like a really interesting. Talk about.
Hey,
Let me ask
Paul,
you,
Paul.
what was it like? What was it like? What was it like working on Defending Jacob?
Well, I mean, from an acting standpoint, it was.
Oh, go ahead. No, you were saying no. Keep going. Keep going. Well, Chris, I'm so happy to be sitting here talking to you
Yeah, me
today.
too, buddy. How you been?
I've been all right. I've been okay. I was, I feel as if, full disclosure, I'm a little hot and sweaty because I thought that this was in an hour, but it's not. It's now.
Hey, man, I like the honesty. Are you in New York?
I am. Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Upstate. Yeah. And you're in Massachusetts.
Massachusetts. Yeah, it's hot and sweaty here too. Full disclosure, I forgot this was today, so I mean they'll probably edit that out.
I'm sure. Well, you say that you're in Massachusetts, and how fitting, because that leads me right to this first question I have for
Perfect.
you
Perfect
about
segue.
Defending Jacob, which
Okay,
is set in that part of the world where you're from.
that's right.
Uh, did you did you know this book? How did this whole thing even come about? It's
No, I didn't know the book. I was working in New York. I was doing my show, which you so kindly came to see me in. I was doing that show, and yeah, my team just brought me the pilot, and as I'm sure you know, it's actually funny because a lot of the questions I have prepared for you are kind of interchangeable because I'm assuming with your show as well, you only get a pilot or so, so it's a bit of a leap of faith. They brought me the pilot, and I met with Mark and Morton, and you just I had some not concerns, but when you don't know where the character is going to go, you just got to kind of trust a little bit. So we had multiple meetings, multiple discussions, and eventually you just kind of say, you know what, I like these people. I just want to go work with these guys every day, and they're just fun people to take risks with.
Did you know
What
them
about you? How did yours
beforehand?
come to you? Did you get the pilot, or did you get the whole
No, I was in a
series?
very different situation. Actually, all 8 of the episodes were written. It was a completely
Oh,
self-contained
see,
thing.
that's
It
that's
was all done. So I,
unbelievable.
I actually was. I know it's rare that you get to read something, and it was one writer, 8
Yeah,
episodes, and so I had the complete thing to start. And it is a little scary when you're starting off, because you don't know where it's going to go, and you do, it is in good faith. But when you're working with good people, which you clearly were,
yeah.
it's easier to take that leap. Did you know them before? Had you worked with these people? How did
No,
the
I mean,
team
I
assemble?
had seen Imitation Game, which Morton directed. I had seen some of the Planet of the Apes films that Mark Bomback had been a part of writing. So I knew some of their work, but it really was just the fact. You know what was great? Both of them had a 14-year-old son, or not a 14 exactly, but children around that age, which obviously the show orbits around. So you can feel the personal connection, which translates into great, creative passion. So at least there, it's things like that which you can kind of grasp on and find the connective tissue to each other when you're dealing with intangibles out of the gate. Did
Yeah.
you have, because one of the beauties of my gig was Morton, the director, and Mark, the writer, did all of them. You know what I mean? Every single show was they were the writer, they were the director combo. Do you have the same thing?
Exact same thing. Dayton and Ferris, Jonathan Dayton and Valerie Ferris, husband and wife, directing team. They did Little Miss Sunshine, and I mean, a lot of great movies and um, documentaries, and they're terrific. We kind of sought them out, and they directed all 8 of ours. So we're
Yeah.
very lucky. It is true, when you have that kind of singular vision, it makes it a lot easier. I'm always amazed. I don't have that much experience with doing a show, but when different directors are coming on every other week, it must be a little challenging. This play is my life. This is my story. These are my thoughts. I mean, what are you thinking, huh? Are you trying to piss me off?
Well, it's my story, too. I have just as much of a right to it as you do.
Excuse me?
At least it's not boring anymore.
I've seen your show, Living with Yourself, and it's fantastic, and you really are fantastic in it. I said earlier, you are the perfect guy for that role.
Well,
Did you have something
thank
you
you,
wanted to say
Chris.
to me?
No, not really.
Does it? Okay,
No,
let's
they
keep
do.
going.
No, that was of course. It seems cheap to just kind of reciprocate. It doesn't seem real, but it's from the heart. You're
I
fantastic
don't
in
believe you.
defending Jacob.
Sure.
You
See, you
well,
sold
you
it.
know
There's
it's
that
true.
acting. There's that
No, here's
acting.
the thing.
That's
You
why you're
know
going to
it's
get
true because
nominated, Paul.
everybody talks about how
Because I
great you
bought
are
it.
in this show.
Um, um,
It
wait,
sounds
I had a good
yeah. You're
question.
you're really you. Here's the thing I think is it's very convincing, and it is an incredibly intense situation and a character that is really, with each episode getting closer and closer to this manic state. I mean, how hard is it to
Mm.
sustain that frame of mind for 8 episodes?
Well, God, I mean, the real question that really should be yours, especially given the content of your show. But I'm curious as to if you had all 8 episodes up front. I wonder if your shooting was different because obviously it wasn't chronological, so you might shoot something in one day that's episode 1, and then in the afternoon episode 8. So you really have to hold this entire story. Ostensibly, it's an 8-hour movie. You have to hold this
Yeah.
whole story in your head and really kind of turn knobs to really extreme degrees, from minute to minute, from scene to scene. But that was the beauty of having one director. I can't even imagine having to swap out directors for each episode and still try to holding that story in your head would become a solo effort. When you have the same people involved every day, they really can kind of hold your hand and walk you through. They were a part of everything that was shot. They know everything that still needs to be shot, and they have their finger on the pulse of the story. You know what I mean? So then they can kind of modulate the performance accordingly. I was going to ask you, I think the thing everyone wants to know, did you get paid double? Or
No,
did you?
no,
No,
I
that's
didn't.
bullshit.
Nothing.
Sorry. See, I felt like I had to swear there. I
No,
know I wasn't supposed to swear, but I think I had to
no,
swear
no.
there. Um,
It's
that must have been
it.
really hard, though. I mean, I can't imagine having
Well,
to.
it
What
was.
was the process? Would you shoot one whole side and then
No, it was.
walk me through it?
One of the appeals, and I'm sure that you found this to be true too. Is you're when you've been doing this kind of thing a little while, you want to try new and exciting things, and the idea of playing 2 parts and having scenes with myself was something I'd never done before, and
Yeah.
it was a challenge. But as a result, um, we are because you're location dependent as well. We're shooting a scene. It could be in episode 1, and then it could be again in episode 4. But we're shooting also the same scene from a different point of view. So we would have to do scenes the same scene in different episodes in different ways, and then have to do them again twice because it was 2 characters. So it was a very strange thing to try and keep it all um, in order, and
Would
a
you
great.
remember from moments, obviously this is a real, pretentious platitude, but acting is, listening and reacting. So would you remember, if you were doing one side, one version of yourself, would you have to remember the choices you made and then kind of say, okay, take one, I did this. So on the reverse, don't forget, take one, I got to try and, it's like little puzzle pieces. You have to make sure each
Yeah,
choices respond to each choice you make. Would you actually have to make like mental notes of the choices you made from take to take?
I did,
That's unbelievable.
and and it became a little bit easier. It's a weird thing that you just there's no one way of doing it, I guess. I mean, I've talked to a couple of other actors that have done this kind of thing, and the thing that I got before I started was that everyone's approach was different and is different, and you just
Mm-hmm.
kind of find what works best for you. And then yeah, I found because I didn't use an acting double, and I didn't want to be reacting to somebody I was acting opposite, even though
I
we
was
were
just
in
going
the
to ask
ground.
that. So you're just reacting to
So
nothing.
so I was reacting. What I did, the way that we did it was I would record the lines. I would read the scene, act the scene with the sound guy, and he would just
Mm-hmm.
on a boom mic, or just we would just do it as an
Mm-hmm.
audio, and then he'd put it into his system, and then on an iPad we had each line as cues. And so whatever character was driving the scene was the character that I would film first. And I would rehearse the scene for the camera and the crew as we felt like the blocking, this is the way it should be, this is the way it would look. I would then act it, imagining I was opposite, and I had an earwig in my ear. And when I would
Yeah.
say my line, I would hear myself respond, but we had somebody off camera hitting the cue on the iPad to play the other character's response. And then once we kind of settled on the take, I would change over and I would then watch what we had recorded. We would be able to line up the shot, and I would just watch what I did, and I tried to remember what I had done. If I was moving and I was reaching for something, I remember, oh, on that line, I'm reaching, so my eye line would have to follow. And it became choreography. And it was a
So
really
you'd almost
cool
pick, so you pick the hero take, or it wouldn't be like if you did, let's say you did 5 takes, you wouldn't say, okay, when we flip around, I'm going to, for the earwig lines, first take, I want the lines from take 1. Second take, I want the lines from take 2. Like you weren't,
we would just
you
kind of
weren't,
settle. We would just kind of settle on
you'd pick the
which
hero
one we
take.
were going to use. Because
That's
the
great.
thing is that we
That's
didn't,
great.
we didn't have that much time. It
Of course,
we
it's got to
when
be a
you're shooting
nightmare to
these,
have to
as,
do.
as I'm sure you experienced as well. You don't have. It isn't. It is like shooting an 8-hour movie, but you're shooting it in normal movie length. Time. The time it takes to shoot it, an hour and a half or 2-hour movie. And then
there's a
the
scene
technical stuff.
where when you first come out of there's no spoilers, right? It doesn't matter. When you first come out of the spa and you're driving and you actually go running through the corn, as I was watching it, I was like, I feel like that at least once a day in Massachusetts. That's just kind of my general, like, I was like, that's a real good like benchmark, just a good little check-in for my life to be like, that's a good sign if I feel that way without being a clone.
I'd give anything to be you. In fact, I just did. 50,000 to 2 guys in a massage parlor.
Well, thank you for that. It's working out just great so far.
All right, you know what? I'm sorry. But to be fair, when I did that, you were me. So in a way, it's your fault too.
Also, why don't you age? Are you drinking baby blood?
I most certainly age. I especially these days.
Oh, you know what? That actually bleeds nicely into this next question. Your first acting job was Sisters in 1992. How has TV changed?
Did they make the list for you of questions? Have they made a list for you of questions to ask me?
I'm only picking a couple, but I want.
No, that's fine. I think. What are some of this would be good? What are some of the go through the questions that they want you to ask me?
Well, they had one that said, "What was it like being on Friends?" And I actually have a question that I specifically have always thought. It's not a question so much as it is just an attaboy. In terms of Hollywood, you are a part of, like, it's amazing just to be a part of any, community. I'm in the Marvel world, and you are a part of Marvel. You're a part of Friends, and you're in the Apatow crew. Like, those are 3 real clubby, clicky, like benchmarky things. Like, I can't think of anybody else that has such a kind of widespread affiliation with so many different genres and groups. What does it feel like to be awesome?
No. Well, that I definitely don't know.
No, here's a good question. Which one are you most proud of? And just remember who's in the room.
Well, it's interesting because they do seem like kind of pockets and chapters in life, and I guess it's just been around forever. But there's a little bit of money? There is a little bit of a kind of a Forrest Gump feel to it, where for a while I was in this world that people know, and then this, but at the same time, in something like Friends, the show was about them, but it's an interesting thing to be a part of. I came on at the end and was only in it for just a blip, but I felt like, I just don't want to get in the way. I'm like a prop on this show. I'm not. It's not about Mike Hannigan, but there's a very interesting feeling to be a part of something that has that kind of profound impact on pop culture. And
What do you get most
I never
recognized
ever
for?
I never get
What do you
comfortable with
get
it. I mean,
like?
I experienced that with Avengers too.
I
I
was
mean,
going to say,
you
because
know,
even in the Avengers world, it was kind of like, welcoming into the fold, but very quickly. Like, I can't imagine you not gelling with the group. So I'm assuming you kind of just you're like sorbet, just a palate cleanser. You know what I mean? It's an always welcome addition.
oh,
There
that's,
you
that's the
go. There you
nicest
go.
thing anybody's ever said to me, Chris. Thank you.
There you go.
I
There you
feel like we're
go.
just talking all about me and my career. You and you have. I mean, my God, I want to talk to you and ask you all sorts of interesting things. But in the meantime, we'll continue with me. The
Sure.
the thing is it is a surreal feeling to be a part of something that is seen in every country. And when it was working with you on Avengers, really on Civil War for that first time.
Yeah.
That scene that we had where we were in the car park,
Yeah.
and
I think it's the first day I met you.
yeah, and there was a real kind of oh wow, nervousness about Scott Lang, and I just really kind of played into that because that was part of what I was feeling anyway. I'd look around
Yeah.
and think, whoa, there's there's Chris Evans and there's Sebastian Stan
You did
and
not
wow,
think
and
that
there's
at
the
all.
suits.
But
Like seeing
okay.
this, I remember there was we were filming that whole sequence, and we were all kind of having to change into our suits in this. Do you remember there was like a little makeshift locker room that
Yeah,
they
those
had
little
put out
tents.
on those.
Yeah, of course.
And I remember like we're all kind of like changing into things, and I saw the suits on the racks, and it was like, yeah, it felt like being
I don't know if
it
you
felt like
remember
being in the
this.
locker room of a Super Bowl winning football team.
I don't know if you remember this. On that day, it was literally the day I met you. Mackie and I and Scarlett, we got in our head that we were going to shoot. This is hilarious. We got in our head that we were going to make a little video just for the Marvel gang, like a little culmination, like a yearbook video of set to that song from Greece. What's that one song in the end? We go together like whatever that song is.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were just going to go around and take little clips of videos of people just kind of dancing and cut it all together. And so the first day I was like, all right, I'll start collecting some of this footage. Was the day you were on set. I have, you know what? No, I'm not going to do it right now. I'm not going to do it right now. I have the footage.
I didn't remember.
The first day I met you, I asked you to do this. I was like, hi, nice to meet you. You don't know me. But can I get this group of guys? It was you, Mackie, I think Renner, Sebastian. And I just said, look, everyone just dance for 30 seconds. And you did it. You were a great sport. You willingly danced with very little explanation from me. And then I never completed the video. I just abandoned. That's all I have. But I got that footage of our first day of meeting, of you dancing. And you're great.
Wow.
All right, maybe that's the next thing I tweet
I
out.
must have blocked it out. I don't remember it at all.
Good.
But I had to
It's
dance.
a
There's no way
disaster.
I'm not going to dance. That's a little bit. You feel like you're the new kid.
No,
in
you
school.
had to do it. You got cornered. You had
The
no
popular
choice.
kid says,
I'm
"Do this."
I'm going to find it right now. This is more interesting than whatever I was going to ask you anyway. Where I have this footage. This is going to be great. All right, go ahead. Ask me something in the meantime while I find
so
this.
I do want to bring this back to defending Jacob, but
Oh,
while we're
right,
on the
that thing,
topic
yep.
of Avengers, and I mean, what is it like for you to play such an iconic character, and in arguably the most popular movie franchise in the world in history?
Intimidating at first, and I'm sorry, I'm still looking for. Oh, I found it. It's unbelievable. I found it. I can't show it. It's way too embarrassing.
Is it bad?
Oh, because I'm in it too. Oh, it's so bad. It's Renner, me, Lizzie, Mackie, you, and Sebastian. Oh, you kill your. Oh, this is gonna be great. I'm gonna put this as anyway. What was it like? It was intimidating at
God.
first. you know, that everyone has expectations. Everyone kind of has in their mind. Most times with a character, you're the first tracks in the snow. You know, so this is something where you have a baked in the cake connection to the character from the people you're offering the movie to. So it's intimidating and overwhelming, but very quickly, you know what it's like working at Marvel. They make you feel so comfortable, and they never. It feels like such a group effort. You know that every decision is going to kind of be vetted over endlessly, and they're always going to come out. It's a real landscape of competing ideas, and the best idea wins, and that's how they end up with so many good movies. So very quickly you kind of put down your fear and just kind of recline a little bit and recognize that you're in good hands. But you
Yeah.
know that feeling. I mean,
What
that
is it?
must have been
What
scary
is it?
playing
Well,
Scott
let me
Lang.
ask you this. All right. We all are
Look,
we're working with Marvel. Yeah. What is it like for you when you go outside? What is it like for you if you find yourself where there's just like a bunch of kids around? What is that like? How
uh,
do they just freak out?
it's yeah, a little bit, but it's that's so nice because I don't know about you, but I grew up with Star Wars, and I had certain characters that just meant the world to me, and we live in a much different time now. Back when I was young, celebrity was far away. You know what I mean? And actors were only accessible through their work. And now you have this other channel where you can actually offer a little bit more of who you are, which is a tricky, tightrope to walk. But it is nice to be able to share a little bit extra, especially playing a character that I respect so much and trying to create this nexus between the work you do and the impact you might want to have on kids. It's so nice when a kid looks up to you. What a strange thing. What a strange thing. You know what I mean? All very undeserving in a way. You know what I mean? It's not like you're just an actor, but it's nice to kind of feel that the interaction can mean more than I don't know. Like I met Hulk Hogan when I was younger, and it was the best thing I'd ever seen in my life. But no disrespect to Hulk Hogan, but sometimes you meet people where I don't know. You get your own identity tangled up with them, and you know what I mean. You start to aspire to things, and it's motivating in a way, and I think the role itself kind of brings a lot of that to the table, and that's nice because again, it's nothing I did. It's just something I get to benefit. I'm downstream of something else, So it's nice in a very serpentine lengthy answer. It's nice to interact with kids, especially when they walk away feeling something that the character kind of put in their head already. Yeah. Does that make
Do you
sense?
do you
I
feel
hope
a
it makes sense.
pressure because Captain America is obviously that character is perfect. He's a perfect person, pretty much.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, I mean, how
Well, maybe not, maybe
much of a
not, maybe not
responsibility do
pressure.
you feel outside
Um,
of the in the real world?
it's probably not pressure put on by the world. It's probably pressure maybe when you spend a lot of time with the character and when you try to find your own parallels with it, you end up more often than not falling short of a character like Steve Rogers. You know what I mean? He's an impossible. The bar is set impossibly high. So, in a very personal, intimate way, you kind of feel a little bit of like a pebble in your shoe that you could be doing more, you could be trying harder, any little thing that you go through in your life. If the narrative in your head for 10 years has been trying to think how this character would think, it's hard not to absorb at least a little bit of it and like I said, end up feeling really bad about yourself. No, but it's yeah, it's and I wouldn't say I feel pressure from outside. I'd say you put pressure on yourself, I suppose. um, in the Marvel vein, let's
Is
come on, I'm hitting the ball back to you.
Well,
No,
hold on.
no,
I was
this one's
just gonna
going your
say
way now.
because
This
this
one's
was
going
I
your
was
way
bringing
now.
this was such a tee up for a defending
You were doing something?
Jacob
Okay,
segue
complete. Finish the shot. Come on,
because
finish it. Dunk it.
you have it's a opposite end of the spectrum here. I mean, a noble pursuit, but my God, this is a guy who's really tormented in different ways, and is part of the
Oh,
appeal to play a character that is so different than what people are used to maybe seeing you in
mm,
if they only have would maybe know about Captain America even though you've
yeah.
done so many things.
You know, I really am. I'm not continuously trying to just kick the ball back, but I am curious as to what you would say as well, because I always feel that
Is
you
this
don't want
neither
to let
one
the
of us
tail
wants
wag the
to talk
dog.
about ourselves?
I'm like, you know what, Paul? I think my answers would best be encompassed in what you have to say about. What do you think I would say? Um, I, I I think you never want to let the tail wag. You know, you don't want to cut your cloth according to perception, and you want to make sure your creative appetite is just what's driving you. You can't deny that people might see you a certain way, and you can't deny that, you know, even playing a certain role over a long enough period of time, you get creatively curious and restless. But I really try to go out of my way to make sure that the choices I make within this industry, the choices I make in my personal life, aren't dictated by how I'm perceived, because I just think that's impossible to fully know accurately, and a slippery slope. I just don't see the value in incorporating that data into the
I guess I
process.
shouldn't say how you feel like you're perceived and you want to do this because you're maybe perceived in a different way. I'm thinking more along the lines of you as an actor. Are you
Oh yeah.
How excited are you to do something that is a different kind of role? Because you
You
haven't. I
know,
mean,
I'm
you've played many different kinds of characters,
sure.
but
I'm also not like one of these guys that, you know, I'll eat the same thing for breakfast for 10 years. You know what I mean? I don't crave. I really try and let I'm very capricious. You know what I mean by nature. So I wake up one day and want something, and then wake up the next day and want the complete opposite. So sometimes I can hit a groove where I just only want to do the same. Basically, it's not that I wake up and only want to find variety in my performance. I might find a character that is in the military and is magnanimous and taciturn and all these Captain America-esque qualities, but if there's a great director and if there's a great writer
good
and I just
words.
feel like collaborating with them, you know, I'll pursue it. So there's a real cocktail of reasons why I choose to do what I do, but like I said, I could be, you know, incredibly varied, or I could be incredibly quotidian for a long time and not mind. How about yourself, man?
I'm
Because I
just
mean, people know you
I
as
don't know,
just the
man. I'm
most
just sitting
affable
here
guy on the
thinking about
planet.
all those amazing words you just used in the last minute. Quotidian being one of the
Quotidian, like
best.
daily, like to do something like ritualistically, you know?
I only know it
It's a
as
good
in
word,
pan
right?
quotidian.
You know what's so funny, Paul? I can't even believe you're giving me credit about being a wordsmith, because you know for a fact. So we got, so all you viewers out there, we were big into Boggle during the Marvel movies, and I'm going to tell
Oh
you
yes.
right now, this is without fail. It's without fail. You could be playing with a group of 20 people. The person who is going to win is Paul Rudd. The person who's going to come in nail biting second is Don Cheadle, and Ruffalo will be way at the end. Ruffalo, although one day Ruffalo, he'll have like 2 words on his whole list, but he got asbestos. He found asbestos on the boggle board. It's a real anomaly. Anyway,
He that is that is pretty impressive. But that's because
yeah,
Mark fights the valiant fight. He's probably out right now marching against asbestos
true.
reform.
Yeah, I was going to say he has no time for children's games. He's doing like, you know, God's work. True.
Yeah. Uh,
What else
those
did I
are
have?
fun. Those boggle games. I liked that in between
You were
all of our
phenomenal. You were
takes.
phenomenal.
I'll,
You found words. You
well,
never stopped writing. It's incredibly infuriating. You want to like knock your pad and paper away because I'm just staring at the board waiting for it to speak to me, and you don't stop writing. Your pen is moving the whole time.
do you consider yourself a competitive person?
I'm about to flip this table, so a little. Just thinking about losing consistently. Yeah, tell you what, I like competition. I don't think like it doesn't put me in a bad mood if I lose, even though I just said I was
Mm-hmm.
going to flip the table. You know, I think it's fun to get involved. It's fun to, you know, be passionate about it, but I don't carry it with me. No,
Right.
does
Yeah.
that make
I mean,
sense?
like whenever no in those kinds of games, I get super competitive and grow. You know,
Yeah,
if there was any kind of group activity like a Trivial Pursuit or any kind of
yeah.
game, kind of growing up, I midway through
You
I
care.
hated myself.
You
I
care.
cared.
Yeah.
It's taken a lot
I'm
of
with
work
you.
to like be cool during games, because sometimes I would just I didn't like the way I did, and I'd get really into it. Yeah, and I didn't.
Yeah, that
I'm
was a good
wondering
set for games.
if you ever had to deal with that. Did you get that competitive about things?
Competitive? No, I mean, well, I tell you what, acting is a great. It's like if you're gonna like break a mare or something. Acting will kind of break that in you, because you won't. It's very cyclical. It's very never ending. Even if you kind of get the medicine for that competitive nature, it reinvents in a heartbeat. So acting, if you want to be endlessly miserable, be a competitive actor. You know what I mean? If you want to kind of find peace with this industry, you got to kind of put that down. Save it for Boggle. You know what I mean? But when it comes to this industry, I got to say, I don't consider myself at all competitive. I actually feel like a real champion of the other people in my profession. I think everyone's phenomenal, and give me 3 beers and I'll just go around the room congratulating everybody on just being the greatest person. But yeah, I think competitiveness in this business was it's toxic.
What about within your family, like your brother? You like
Oh,
compete?
fuck them. I'm just kidding.
Your
Bleep that one out. No, my brother and
sibling?
I too. I mean, my brother and I are wildly competitive in terms of he was doing quarantine with me, and so we have an all time record on our phone for ping pong, for shuffleboard, for Mario Kart, for everything. So we were really adding to our all time list. So him and I take things real seriously, but again, not professionally, not in the acting world, and you know where
Right.
where, where it could really create a rift, we put those weapons down. But board game will not talk for a few days.
I have to tell you something. Something that's gonna come out soon.
About Jacob?
About me. My family. My father.
Playing Captain America obviously comes with pressure because he's so well known. I didn't know Ant-Man as well. Is there pressure trying to bring a character that you kind of get? It's not one of the names. It's not Superman. You know what I mean? It's not like Batman. Was there pressure to kind of say, all right, this is going to be a franchise? It's not like a supporting character. You're getting a standalone movie. Is there pressure to take a character that's one of the lesser known comic book characters and make sure he can like be on the level of what Marvel has come to expect?
Yeah, I mean, there's probably look, there's pressure at every single move you're making, kind of in this world. I think in the Marvel
Yeah.
world, and how much you really let it affect you is uh, the key. I figured there's probably just pressure entering the Marvel universe and this film canon that is so popular with so many people all over the world.
Mm.
Yeah, you don't want to be you know the weak link. Uh, to take a character like Ant-Man, which yeah, very you know few people knew, um, was and people would think they would ask me like I say I got this part, I'm playing Ant-Man, and then they'd say, well, what does Ant-Man do? And I say he can shrink to the size of an ant, and then and then he also has but he retains strength, and he can also control ants and talks to and people would laugh as you explained what the character does. And it was me playing it, which is not, I'm not the first guy that I think people would think of when it comes to playing a big superhero. So, you want to be accepted, you want to make it, I mean, I wanted to try and make a character that was a superhero that was kind of a regular person, that the whole world of it, of superherodom seemed uh, overwhelming. And what do you do with this? And
Right.
in a way to make it somewhat identifiable. But there's a pressure, and then there's also a pressure as you know because you've met many people who do know a lot about Ant-Man. In fact, might know everything about Ant-Man. And there's people
Yeah.
who know everything about Captain America. And these characters are important to many people, and
Mm.
you don't want to just you want to treat them with the respect and hopefully do the character a service. And certainly the character that was the way it was created by Jack Kirby and Stan Lee and and everyone at Marvel. I mean, they've been around for a while.
What is going on with the next Ant-Man? Like, I'm not even sure what's happening with Marvel right now. What's the future plan? There is a third, right?
Well, yeah, we've that's the idea. I mean, I don't know what I'm supposed to say and what I'm not supposed to say, but with this quarantine, who even knows anything anymore?
But there's no plan on.
Um,
Is there plans on shooting anytime soon?
I'm not going to
Yeah.
be able to say anything, Chris. You know
No,
the
of
rule. You
course
know the
not. I
deal.
mean, I know the drill. I
You
don't know what I'm doing. I don't know why I'm
you got
asking.
it.
I might as well ask what your paychecks are. I don't know. Paul, what's your penis size?
It's even
Um,
bigger than my paycheck. There, I mean, and put in your own Ant-Man joke there. There, so you're talking about how the creators of the show have teenage sons, and then
hmm
you don't.
No.
And it what was that like playing a dad?
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, I had a wonderful relationship with my father. So, if you have to kind of find parallels in your own life to draw from, what a lovely avenue to kind of stroll down to try and remember all the sweet moments I had with my own father and the depth that love can reach. And obviously it's a little bit of a darker subject matter in the show because obviously that love leads him to kind of bend his ethics, his morals, but for the sake of something that I would consider really, really pure and something that I would probably do as well, for the sake of my kid. So yeah, you're right. I don't have a kid, but it was a really enjoyable role to play. Even down to the posture of poking your head in your kid's bedroom door and just saying goodnight and just those little kind of the physicality of that and the kind of cadence of that is something I remember so well and contributes to such a healthy, secure, safe part of my childhood. And it's so nice to kind of play the role that provides that in the face of this really, really awful circumstance where that thing you love so much, this not just your kid, but the family dynamic, the identity that you get tangled up in at being a father is this thing that you fight for, and that's obviously what the character's fighting for. So, in a lot, sorry, I'm scratching my dog. I'm not like doing a weird thing under here. Yeah,
Is
it was
that
actually
what it's
lovely. It was
called?
really enjoyable. Obviously, it was a there's a lot of darkness surrounding the plot, but just for the sake of trying to every day think about how much you can love somebody and something, and how much you can fight for something, and defy morals and your own personal code for the sake of someone else is I don't know. It's kind of lovely. It opens you up a little bit. It was great.
Hmm. How did you wait? Tell me again that you're not you're not a detective. You're like a prosecutor.
DA, district attorney.
The DA, right? You're right. Okay, so then you get this part, and you're playing a DA.
Mm-hmm.
How do you know what it's? You don't have a son, but you know what that. How do you play
Yeah.
a DA? Do you just follow what's in the script? Do you talk to the director, or do you talk to DAs? How did you go about preparing to play that role?
Luckily, a lot of the people we had hired, it takes place in Boston. So a lot of those other roles where you have, whether it's, the judge or the bailiff or, all the people in the courtroom who are hired to play these, one or two line roles. We also wanted their accents. So you get a lot of people who are authentic to the Boston area in this part. They not only have the accent, but they have the vernacular. I mean, they know what to say. They know what this wording is. So just kind of talking about, it's easy to get carried away with the performance of a scene like that, and like, well, would a DA ever say that? Is this grand? Is this TV or is this grounded in reality? So simple things like that. The writer of the book, William Landay, was on set quite a bit. I think he actually might have. He was a DA, but yeah, we actually had a nice group of people on set to kind of keep us in bounds. It's like when you do a movie where you play like military or something like that. You need someone in there who's
Yeah.
military. Otherwise, you're going to look like a
What
fool.
what is it like when you have the writer of the book and then the writer of the episode
You know,
uh, on
normally
set at the same
I've done
time.
that. I've done that before. I've done some things, well, not quite like that, but similar enough where someone who is part of the parent material is on set, and it can be intimidating. But William was just what a guy. So nice, so friendly, so accommodating. I mean, we changed a few things. We took some liberties. He couldn't have been more on board. He was the nicest guy in the world, and his voice actually was fantastic in the novel. I mean, it really, Mark took certain lines, verbatim off the page. But in no way was he, it wasn't like, oh, Williams on set. Everyone, mind your manners. He was great. He couldn't have been more supportive.
Andy, I assume you're familiar with your Fifth Amendment rights,
I would hope so.
and you've waived them.
I don't have any tricks up my sleeve, if that's what you're getting at.
No one was implying that.
Yes, you are. So would I. I'm here because I believe in the system. I just want the truth to come out.
I do have one question for you that that actually I really want to ask. How do you feel about Tom Brady going to the Buccaneers?
I knew you were going to ask that. You know what? He gave me 20 years of sports memories. It's an embarrassment of riches. I have seen so many Super Bowl victories in my life.
Yeah, you have.
He can go wherever he wants. You know what I mean? I wish him all the best. I can't even imagine the dedication. I've been watching, you must be watching The Last Dance.
Oh, yeah. Saw them all.
Oh, God. Oh, I mean, it's just the commitment, the drive, the focus, all of it is just so unbelievable, so inspiring. Starts from such a young age and is so all-consuming. Actors, we take breaks, chunks of time off where our brain shuts off. These guys, they never stop. Tom, I'm sure, doesn't stop. And for that, at his age, whatever he wants to do, however he wants to see his career finish out, I wish him all the best.
Are you going to root for the Buccaneers?
I will never buy a Buccaneers jersey. But look, put it this way. If the Pats aren't going to make it, I'll probably be tuning into some Bucs games. Yeah. How about your boys, man? How about your boy? How nice is it to know you have the best quarterback in the league and he's like 16 years old? Like, you guys are going to be good for 15 years.
God willing. This is
it.
You
He's the
and you
best
say the
quarterback in the
embarrassment
league.
of riches. You've only known what it's like to grow up with Super Bowl victories.
True.
I
True.
feel, this is the first time in my life. It's an
Well,
incredible feeling.
get used to it because you guys aren't going anywhere. Get used to it, man. This is the new normal for you guys. KC is the benchmark, and it's really because of that guy. I mean, the whole team's great. Great coach. You guys are great all around, but that man, that dude,
he's special.
Whoo, it's unbelievable.
And a great
it's
guy.
fun to watch. Yeah, and that's what makes it all the sweeter. Yeah. All right, great.
Hey,
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
I'm gonna go.
Thank you.
Take a few more of these.
Nice. All right, man.
Take care, team.
Thanks a lot. Good seeing
Bye,
you, Chris.
guys.
I hate these. It's always an awkward thing.
They're a
It's not like
nightmare.
a real
They're a nightmare.
conversation.
They're awful.
Yeah.
You made it much better. Thank you.
Yeah, as did you. I didn't want to, by the way, only because I was right behind. I didn't want to do this in front of a bunch of books. I look like an asshole.
I was gonna say, what are you, fucking professor? Oh, Professor Rudd.
I was running late.
You should have done it in front of the Cabbage Patch Kid you have on the desk, because we all got a glimpse of that too. There you go.
This guy right here.